From KPRC2, this is Houston Newsmakers with Cambrell Marshall.
Good morning and welcome to this special edition of Houston Newsmakers, made special because of the first-time visit from Republican Congressman Michael McCaul, who's now serving the 10th Congressional District for the 10th term. That's amazing. You've been at it for a while.
I know. I feel I'm getting old, you know. Jeez.
Join the party.
20 years.
I know. Good morning to you. Hey, thank you for making time in your schedule. I know it's really, really busy. So
thanks for having me
here. Before we start, I want to remind people about the area that you represent. Mm-hmm. We got a map here. 13 counties spanning from counties just outside of Houston all the way to Austin. I call this a classic example of what we call creative district drawing, for lack of a better word. Talk about your district and the challenge of it and what your constituents tell you is most important to them.
Well, I think, honestly, I think my district represents, middle America, right? I mean, I got liberal Austin, and I've got, Texas A&M and Katy, Texas, right? Mm-hmm. So I've got conservatives to liberals, and for 20 years I've managed this district.
So how do you determine, because that is a real, I guess you have to go by, okay, I got elected by these people, they trust me to make decisions that are going to be best for them. Mm-hmm. That's how you make the decisions you make.
Yeah, I'm a representative, right. So I represent their views, but you also have to lead, right? You have to make leadership decisions and explain it back home to your constituents. And that's how I chaired the Homeland Security Committee for 3 terms. Now I'm chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee. Good leadership positions,
right.
Important positions.
And the first Texan to ever chair the House Foreign Affairs Committee. So I don't know how that took so long to happen, but that's a big role that you play, obviously. Yeah. The relationships around the world, your committee is responsible for. Very sensitive time. You've been vocal in your support for Ukraine.
Yeah, I have.
What is your stance? Because there are a lot of others in your party who've come out and they don't feel the same way. What's your thought about how much more the United States should be supporting Ukraine in this effort?
Well, when I went to Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, they all told me what happens in Ukraine impacts Taiwan. Mm-hmm. You can't bifurcate these things. I mean, Chairman Xi, China, is aligned with Putin in Russia, and with the Ayatollah and Kim Jong-un in North Korea. I go back to my dad's time. My dad was a bombardier in a B-17, World War II generation. They liberated Europe from the Nazis and the Pacific, from the threat coming from that time, Japan. And the parallels today are very striking, very similar. And I think it's the biggest threat we've seen to what the greatest generation liberated, right. What's happening today.
With having said that, you mentioned China. Let's talk about our relationship with China as well, because it didn't take a Chinese spy balloon to kind of ruffle the feathers with China. We have our trade relationship is important, but the conditions right now, we're not exactly on the best of terms. What do you think is going to take to get our relationship back on track with that country in the way that's going to be beneficial to the United States?
Well, China is getting very aggressive. Just an anecdotal story. When I went to Taiwan, I was warned by the Chinese embassy not to go to Taiwan. Then I was briefed by the military that there are 10 battleships surrounding the island from the Chinese Communist Party, and an aircraft carrier and 70 fighter jets. And then I got sanctioned by the Chinese Communist Party. And I say that because it illustrates the aggression right now coming from China. We don't want war, obviously. They have their ambitions, and it's clear. And I think Taiwan is on their radar. And, freedom, democracy. But, Taiwan, TSMC, 90% of the entire world population of global manufacturing of advanced semiconductor chips comes out of Taiwan, TSMC. So it's very critical.
For us going forward, it's something obviously, are we paying enough attention to that as a country? Because our country, Congress is one thing, but our country has an attention span of a gnat for a lot of different things. So this could be very important, but a lot of people aren't paying that kind of attention.
Well, that's right. And the thing about Taiwan and the Pacific, and we don't have NATO in the Pacific. We have friends and partners like Japan, South Korea, Australia, but it is under threat now from, I think, the Chinese Communist Party. And we have to wake up to that. And it's a struggle. It's a global power competition between us and their 100-year marathon, they call it. They want economic and military domination. So that's the struggle we're in right now. And we have to take it seriously. I sign off on all foreign military sales. So for the last 4 years, I've signed off on 22 weapon systems to Taiwan that have yet to go into country because we have an inability to manufacture weapons.
How do we have an inability to do anything?
It's a real threat to our national security. And it's something that I've been really focused on is we have to ramp up our capabilities to manufacture our weapon systems. And that's what makes, the United States the premier, we're the leader of the world, especially after my dad's war, the greatest generation.
So I know that you're not one of the flamethrowers of your party. All parties have them. Your party has a lot more, it seems, these days. It could be my perception, but that's what it seems. The public perceives what's going on in Congress, the job that Congress is doing, not in a positive way right now. The latest Gallup poll said that 19% said that they thought they were approved of the job you're doing in Congress, and 77% say they disapprove of it. You really try to find the bipartisan opportunities to try to counteract that. Maybe that would help that rating come up a little bit if everybody had the same kind of attitude. What is your thought about the partisanship and the way that it's maybe torn the civility of what we used to have in Congress?
Well, our founding fathers set up this institution. It has to be bipartisan to work. You have to work across the aisle, and I'm proud of that, right? I was named the most effective Republican in the House because I work across the aisle to get good things done for the nation, like the CHIPS bill, semiconductors, or childhood cancer issues, and it's the way the institution's set up, and if all you want to do is go and have a YouTube moment, that's fine. But I think my constituents elected me to get good things done for the country. And the only way I can do that is to pass legislation. And I've been very effective at doing that. And I think in the 20 years I've been up there, it is changing. And, that's unfortunate. And I hope we can get back to a place where we can work together.
And that's a hope, obviously, but clearly it's even more definitively different. I mean, the chasm is just really significant now, especially what's going on with the former president and that sort of thing. But we'll talk about that a little later.